In 1973, the CIA funded a top-secret program designed to test and weaponize the extreme limits of the human mind. Our story starts in the Rocky Mountains. Ingo Douglas Swann was born in 1933 in the small mining town of Telluride, Colorado, where he claimed his ability to mentally project himself into the stars began as a child. After a career in the military, Swann caught the attention of physicists at the Stanford Research Institute. Together, they developed a protocol called remote viewing, a method intended to quantify his ability to perceive distant targets using only his mind. The researchers began with terrestrial tests, mentally entering sealed containers or hidden rooms to describe the objects inside. But these tests had a significant limitation. If the answer existed anywhere on Earth, skeptics could argue that Swann had accessed the information through conventional means, such as an accidental leak or prior knowledge. To test the phenomenon in a truly isolated environment, Swann needed a target so remote and unmapped that empirical verification was currently impossible for any human or machine. Swann presented an audacious proposal. He would attempt to remote view Jupiter, a gas giant that NASA's probes had not yet reached for close-up data. The scientists at SRI agreed. On the evening of April 27, 1973, Swann entered a room and requested 30 minutes of absolute silence to attempt the mental transit. According to the experiment logs, it took him roughly 3.5 minutes to mentally arrive at the planet. He began reporting his observations in real time. He described piercing a thick atmosphere of rolling clouds and a pervasive, eerie yellow light. Swann reported tremendous winds driving across a landscape of large, polished crystals, an environment of extreme pressure and motion. Looking upward from his position within the atmosphere, Swann described seeing a glittering band of crystals stretching across the sky. He explicitly identified this structure as a ring system, directly comparing the site to the rings of Saturn. At the time, this observation was seen as a major error. The scientific consensus in 1973 was absolute. Jupiter did not have rings. Because the report directly contradicted the astronomical data of the era, the experiment was largely dismissed, and the documentation was filed away. 6 years later, in 1979, the Voyager 1 space probe arrived at the gas giant to conduct the first close-range survey of the planet. The mission images revealed something the scientific community had deemed impossible: a faint, dark ring system circling Jupiter. In light of this discovery, researchers returned to the 1973 transcripts for a forensic breakdown. They found that while Swann's core observation was accurate, his report contained significant errors. This diagram shows the actual position of the Jovian rings. Swann perceived them inside the upper atmosphere, whereas they orbit far above the clouds. He also described a solid surface, though the planet's internal makeup remains debated by scientists today. Despite these spatial inaccuracies, the statistical probability of a subject guessing the existence of an unknown planetary feature years before NASA confirmed it presented a major dilemma for the SRI researchers. For the intelligence agencies that continued to fund the program for decades, the Jupiter experiment served as evidence that the human mind could successfully gather data from locations far beyond the reach of conventional sensors. Was Ingo Swann's 1973 report a remarkably lucky guess, or did he find a way to travel the solar system with his mind? Let me know what you think in the comments.